Today's topic, DIY parrot perches and swings. I'm Kaylin, the author of the Parrot Bliss Bond. Parrots are my bliss. I have 18 species of parrots. Welcome to my bliss. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you hit the bell and you subscribe. I don't even know if that's enough for YouTube to show you tomorrow's video or not, but that's a good start. If you are not new, if you've hung around and you're already subscribed and you enjoy my bliss, thank you so much for coming back, and I hope you are going to enjoy this relatively really inexpensive DIY perches and swings with Macy, who may or may not be in the video with us today. All right, let's get right into it. So Macy, who keeps following me, doesn't want to be in the video. So she follows me all around. You'll see she's in the pictures for my DIY perches and swings. But then she doesn't want to be on my shoulder now. So there you go. Macy is a Cape parrot. She is female because Cape parrots are sexually dimorphic. So the peach on her head says that she is female. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the perches. So first I'm going to start by telling you the materials I used were rope, and I always get a natural rope, like a hemp or jute, anything like that that I can use in my parrots' cages where I'm not worried if they eat it because it's a natural material. So it's just not going to be an issue. For example, I really like the cotton perches, and especially the cotton ones that either twist around and you could attach both ends to the cage, or they're like a spiral and you can hang it in the cage. They love those. I love those for them, but my big problem with them is they start to fray, and when they fray, or at the end, they make like a pom-pom at the end of the rope, and the parrots love to bite at that, but that can be really dangerous. While they don't intend to eat it, they do bite at it, and some of it gets into their system. And I have heard more than one vet say that that can lead to a fatality or a last-minute serious surgery because their whole digestive system is backed up because there's all these cotton fibers in them. Is your parrot stressed out? If your parrot is stressed out, let me just tell you really quickly, you need Tink's must-have CBD parrot relief. It is CBD in hemp oil. The hemp oil is super beneficial for your parrot, no matter what kind of parrot you have. Follow the directions. Some parrots need to limit their fats, although some fats are required in every parrot's diet, which is why pellets have some fat anyway. And the CBD is going to help calm them and bring them back to a normal pace. If your parrot's screaming or anything like that, then it ought to help you. I've had people tell me before that it's really helped with their parrots. The other thing is, I really like buying perches from the pet store, like a bird store. They're fantastic because they generally put a screw in that goes both ways into the wood. And so then you put, a washer and a bolt on kind of thing. That might be like a butterfly bolt. I don't even know if that's the right word. But they adhere to the cage, like you can tighten them, and most of the time they're pretty good and they'll stay on the cage, and it's a nice perch. What I don't like usually is the price tag. I have a lot of parrots, and that would be a lot of perches. I also don't like that the way they do them, they always take the bark off, and I'm not clear at all why they take the bark off. The bark is something that parrots really like chewing at, eating at. In nature, they eat the bark and it binds to the lectins, and lectins are plant poisons. So a lot of the seeds, or to some degree the nuts, some different vegetables, that kind of thing, the plants have lectins. So the bark is really good for them. Now, that means that when I find, and when I have the opportunity to get just wood that's been cut, and either it has some leaves on it or it doesn't, and I bring it in, my parrots love it. It's enrichment. They bite away at it. They tear the leaves off. Sometimes I see them chewing the leaves. So of course you have to make sure that the leaves and the plants and the bark that you're using, the tree that you're using, is not toxic to them. Generally speaking, you can do a search online, which if you're like me, you'll find contradictory information. Otherwise, if it's a fruit-bearing plant like an apple tree, you should be fine. If it's not, you really need to research and make sure that you aren't going to intoxicate your parrot. So I really like the natural branches. That way my parrots can chew away at it all they want. They can destroy it. They can do whatever they want. That's what it's for. And the next time I find someone chopping their tree down in my neighborhood, I can bring a new one. So it's not a big deal. It does mean that I have to figure out how to hang that perch because I don't necessarily have those double screws, or I can't necessarily get them to work. Maybe I didn't find the right thing, or I have to figure out how to make it work. Sometimes I hang them with ropes. Sometimes I drill a hole in them and I use something like a zip tie or a hook. Other times I wiggle them in between, in between the bars and kind of get them snug so that they stay. So in today's video, you're going to see a variety of those being used. You're going to see my cat, who's photobombing. You're going to see the zip ties, you're going to see rope, you're going to see the wood pieces that I find. And I use wood pieces depending on my parrot's feet size. In other words, if I find a little thin branch, I'm going to give it to my parrotlets. If I find a nice thick branch, I'm going to save it for my macaws. So let's get started and look at the first picture. So right here, this is a piece of wood, a little branch that had two little pieces. And you can see all I did is the branch was shaped like this, kind of like a sideways V, or it could be a regular V, but I turned it sideways. I aligned one side with the cage and I zip tied it on, and you could see that one side. So the side that's parallel to the cage may not be useful, but the side that's sticking up gives my parrots a place to perch. Perches are going to be better if they offer a variety of sizes, as in the diameter for the perch varies. So that means that the distance, the thickness of the wood varies. And that gives your parrot the ability to grab at different diameters, and it's good exercise for their feet. The other thing that really would be beneficial to vary is it doesn't always have to be perfectly still. A lot of trees will have some branches that sway, and parrots actually kind of like that swaying. You've noticed if you took them on a cruise, they wouldn't get motion sickness. They would be like, woohoo! It's just built into them. So I like to sometimes give them a swing. Sometimes I like to give them a perch that isn't perfectly horizontal. Like I'll give them one that's sideways, and they like the variety. So I'm not saying don't give them a horizontal perch. I'm saying mix it up, give them a lot of different things. So this one was like that because it gives them the different angles. Now that picture is to show you that Macy, lucky me, was helping me. She was supervising the whole time, telling me what I was and wasn't doing wrong. And it's kind of funny. This perch, I was getting ready for my parrotlets. And so here she is in one of my small parrotlet aviaries, putting her beak into everything. To a large extent, it's because she just wants to hang out with me, and then she sees something I'm doing, and it's like, woohoo. Okay, now next I have, let's see. We've got a branch that I didn't do anything to. I just took my clippers, and of course they're good clippers, and I have two kinds. I have one that will clip small branches, and I have a heavy duty one that'll clip, branches that are going to get to like maybe an inch thick, something like that. And then after that, I have to bring them home and use my saw. So this one though was thin enough that I was able to wiggle it between the wires, and I did twist the wires a little bit to get it in, but it was really nice because I just didn't have to do anything and it's there. In other words, I put it in. Now they have a a nice horizontal, flat, unmoving perch. And other than cutting the branch, I didn't have to drill holes. I didn't have to do anything. So I don't have any problem with that. And then there is, I think that's, is it Quantum or Tesla supervising me? One of my male capes. And he had to come since she was there supervising me. He had to come along and also supervise. It's kind of like monkey see, and they say, me too. Let me see, and I'll let you know whether or not I'll let you continue or whether I'm going to steal what you're doing. This picture is the top of that V branch, and I just happened to have a toy that was in the shape of a C, and I'm like, okay, I'll put you on there to help me hold the branch. It's not something you would absolutely need. Now, this picture is the first swing. So the deal with this is, what I do is I take my zip ties and I take the rope and I take my stick and I wrap the rope around the stick, and then if my fingers were the zip tie, they're going to come around and zip right here. When I do that, I try to make the zip tie as tight as I can and as close to the branch as I can, so that my birds don't accidentally like slip a foot in between and get their foot stuck. And in theory, if they can get their foot in, they'd be able to get it out. But just in case, I try to make it as safe for them as I possibly can. So it's really nice because, you know, you just wrap the rope around, you just zip the zip tie, and you can just get like 1,000 zip ties for $10, give or take some. And I use zip ties with my parrots' cages all the time. So that made it easy because I didn't have to drill, and I'm using my natural rope and the branch. So I was very happy with that. And there is the swing. You can see I put it on both sides. You can see I actually did this a couple of times. So there's another one of the ropes tied on. Now this time I tried to sort of tie a double tie, and that's because this branch or swing was for my my Cape Parrots. My Cape Parrots' beaks are so strong that they can break a walnut open. So they're pretty significant. The only other parrots that can break walnuts open are macaws, so they really have strong beaks. That means that with the plastic zip ties, they think it's fun to just break them, cut them, and then whatever the toy they have just falls apart, or whatever swing. So I tried to make it more tricky. I did a double knot and I zip tied within the knot, and that's because I'm trying to get it to stay a little longer, but also if they are going to just destroy it, I kind of thought it might give them a little more to work through and destroy. So there's the swing. Look at that right side, it's all funky. That's that double knot. And you can see on the left side, I did 2 zip ties. Again, it's to try to get it to last a little longer and to just give them a little more to get through. Then last but not least, there's the swing that went into one of the Cape cages. So my parrots absolutely like these. One of the things, you know, actually when I put the swing into the Cape cage, even though it wasn't Macy's cage, she went right in and started playing with it just right away. So she never goes in there and all of a sudden she's like super interested, and that's because the grass is always greener, and now there was some green grass in another cage, so she had to go and check it out. It's really easy to just take some pieces of wood that, you know, it comes from a tree and someone's already cut the tree, so you just, you know, trim it down so that all you have is the main branch, and then tying some rope on is just so easy. Then the only things you would need is rope and zip ties, which you can get both of those on Amazon, or probably you can get them at any hardware store. I don't think it's really $20 worth of material between the rope and the zip ties, and that would give you enough rope and zip ties for a lot of branches. I mean, I don't know the cost per branch, And I guess it depends on how much rope you use, and because I've also just zip tied a branch to the side of a cage, or drilled a hole and then put the zip tie through the hole and then through the cage. I'm sure that these zip ties wind up just being like pennies, and the rope, depending on how much rope you get, it's just not that much. So it's nice because it gives your parrot something more natural that they can use. It's more economical for you, and I really like that it's more built-in engagement. At least that is what I've experienced when I get them. For example, the cute little swings that they have with all the little decorations, and then they have that one little dowel that my parrots can sit on. I don't think it matters what parrots I give it to. It doesn't matter what size swing I get, and it doesn't matter what parrot I give it to. They eat at the dowel. They break the dowel falls, and all that's left is like this hanging upside down U with these little decorations, which they may or may not reach, they may or may not pay attention to, they may or may not break. But then my $5 to $10 or $20 swing is gone in seconds, and I'm like, ah. Whereas today I made that V perch. I put that one stick in that I did nothing else with. I made 2 other swings, so I made at least 2 perches and 2 swings, 4 different things. And that would have been $40 to $80 kind of thing at a store. Not that I've ever really seen a swing, because I don't know how they would make it easy for you to like just take it home and do, right? They'd have to give you a zip tie, or I don't know how they would do it with a rope. But so they're nice, really nice for the parrots. And it just wasn't $20. I mean, I still have a ton of zip ties, and I still have plenty of rope left. So I hope you enjoyed that DIY branch and swings. Please be sure, like I said, to subscribe and hit the bell. And then if you really want to help me out, please make sure you like this video, because that'll help other people learn about my DIY branches that I made today and swings. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time.